Hi, everybody. You all three joined at once. I couldn't keep up.
You're busy?
Click, 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 click.
Wow, great. How are you, Becky?
I'm okay. Life seems a little hectic. I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna give some treats to the woman who cleans my house
Mhm.
once or twice a month, and I realized, oh, tomorrow is her day. I better do it now. I had thought, oh, I'll do it on the weekend.
I know. It's like Christmas is suddenly
Well, I
here.
just realized that about like an hour ago, so I've been
Right. Okay.
frantically putting butter and flour together.
Yeah, I made some more lemon curd last night.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Barbara. Are you still away?
Hey, Barbara.
You're muted.
Hey there. Oh, nice to see you.
She has to unmute.
Oh,
No, I'm back. We got back. I mean, it's hard to believe we got back after 20-hour trip.
Oh,
Sunday, late on Sunday, like 1 a.m. But I feel
Oh my gosh,
it takes a long time to bounce back.
it does. Yeah.
And a lot happened. Congratulations on the tea, Sandy. It sounds like it was fabulous.
it was one of the best ones we've ever had, in my
That's
opinion.
amazing.
It was really fun.
yeah.
That's
I
good.
agree.
And how are Jim and Peggy? They both had big medical issues.
Jim is, we just got an email from Jim saying that he's much better and he's definitely going to do both Christmas services.
Yeah. And he already had the sermons prepared or some kind of text ready.
Oh, I sent him the bulletin.
Yeah.
It's all done. And he's, he's so used to giving the Christmas message. I'm sure he won't have any trouble with that. I mean, Steve had volunteered but and he knows, of course, the liturgy
Inside out.
in his bones, probably.
Yeah.
So I think he'll be fine. But the first email we got, he said he was having trouble with stairs and his speech was he said that's all cleared up. So I think it's going to be fine. And Brett Wheeler's going to play on Sunday. I talked to him and I'm hoping he'll agree to play once a month. So we'll have an organist. We'll see. We'll see how he feels about playing at a morning prayer service, which he's never done before.
And
Yeah.
Peggy had COVID.
Yes, I guess she's all
She
right.
did.
Yeah.
She's okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. She had it, she suffered a bit. She did. She was really, I sounded like she was sick in bed because I stayed in touch. But now she started sending photos of her granddaughter. So I think that's a sign
That's
that
a good sign.
she's coming out of it. All right.
That's
I haven't really written to her lately. So at least since yesterday. So there you go.
Well, thank you for the updates.
Yeah.
And I think the first in-person morning prayer service went really well. I thought Larry led it beautifully, and Christine's reflection was great.
Yeah. Wasn't Christine lively and exciting? Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
She's great.
It was just great.
Yeah.
Great. So this week we'll have Steve reflecting. I'm sure that'll be good. And Sandy, you're going to be great. Don't worry.
Yeah.
You said you were a hard act
Right.
to follow, Larry. But I actually do. I want to talk to you a little bit about it, Sandy. So we'll do that at some point. Anyway.
Yeah. So we think Richard will do the music Sunday.
Absolutely.
Is that what I heard?
Yeah. No,
okay.
he's been planning on it. He and I have been planning the music. And he's going to
Great.
do Christmas morning also.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
That will be a slightly less elaborate service. I mean, we're singing about 8 hymns at the 5 o'clock. Well, maybe not all 8 of them.
At the Christmas vigil sort of thing. Yeah.
Not a lessons and carols, but we're just gonna have a Christmas carol at every opportunity in the service that we can. fit in.
Yay, that's always good.
An opening hymn, a carol for the Gloria, a sequence hymn, an offertory hymn, a before communion hymn, after communion hymn.
More.
No, it should be, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah. I wish we could advertise that to people that come and
I mean, it's-
as a kind of hymns, as a kind of carol sing, maybe.
Yeah, oh, that's a good
We
idea.
should think about that. And
Yeah,
We
then,
we could put it in, I guess we could
Yeah.
put it in the newsletter and then the website, say that the festive choral Eucharist is happening with lots of Christmas carols or something. I know it's not
Yeah.
a traditional lessons
That
and
might get
carols.
that might get some families to,
Yeah,
walk over,
yeah,
just-
'cause it's very
Yeah.
popular, so it would be,
we could send like, mimeographs. Remember mimeographs?
you are
Yes.
dating yourself.
I
there.
sure
do
am.
we have a Mimeo machine? I don't.
We could like Mimeo the neighborhood.
Nobody
Well,
has
that's
a
what-
Mimeo machine.
We got somebody at the T because of the flyers that
Yeah, I think that's great.
yeah, anyway,
Great.
it'll be fine.
There's nothing like the rag that Lori knows, the Kensington Outlook.
Oh, yeah.
And the
Oh,
reason
rag.
I mention that is it goes to every house, and the Arlington Community Church advertises substantially in it,
Yeah, they do.
and also manages to get a lot of coverage.
Yeah.
And
they
is
do.
thinks, tries to position itself.
As a community church.
It,
Mhm.
it-
It
it's
is,
technically congregationalist.
right.
As a, if
That's-
it,
Hmm?
we could advertise it on the neighborhood thingy too. Because it's not a for-profit or charge thing, so we could advertise it on that.
Yeah, Pam would do that. I think
Yeah.
she knows how to do
You mean
that.
Neighborhood Watch?
No, it's
Sandy?
called In the Neighborhood. No, what's it called?
I know. what
That's Fred Rogers.
In the neighborhood. Yeah,
Oh, I like.
really.
But if you come back to the Kensington Outlook, there's no newspaper like that for Albany.
Not
Yeah,
anymore.
There's there's
Yeah.
Berkeley side for Albany. I don't know if it's called Albany side, but I don't think they advertise for
No,
churches.
that wouldn't work.
There
It's
used to
next
be the
door.
Albany Times, but that's like,
But we
it
can put it on our
ended
billboard.
30 years
I was-
ago.
I was talking
Yeah,
about
put it
next
on our-
door.
Can't we put it on
Next
our
door.
billboard
Next
outside?
That's
door.
it, next door. Yeah,
And we can put it on our signpost outside, can we?
Definitely, we need to do that. When Pam's, things are, I'm hoping Pam will be back next week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, she said she would. She would be coming home. I think she's coming home on Thursday, but she won't be in the office till next week.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so we can get the signage out. I think we have a Christmas banner, actually. Except it probably has the 10 o'clock service, which doesn't exist, so. We could maybe we have to make another one.
Or have
Well,
another-
I'd walk and deliver them
If we made some.
if you
kind of flyer-
Mimeo the neighborhood.
I've done that. I've done that with the tea. It's a nice walk. And
Yeah.
almost every house has stairs going up to it.
Okay, all right, you get a
Well,
lot
your
of
car-
exercise
Your
too.
cardio for the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll feel it.
Yeah, okay.
Been there, done that.
So, Matthew,
Matthew.
so let me ask you about my question.
I didn't understand the question, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, let me explain to you. When I did the chunks, I had not originally thought to add the Sermon on the Mount to the first chunk, which was last week.
Mhm.
And for some reason, I kept going. Don't ask me why. I was probably
In the zone.
in a zone. And I thought, so we put the Sermon on the Mount last, and it's long-ish. And I thought, well, maybe we might want to read it again. And totally up to you guys. Otherwise, we could return to the chunks that I had originally set out. Remember, I sent you guys an email, and that would be 8, 9, and 10, which is a bunch of healings.
Mhm.
But if we could do the Sermon on the Mount again, or we could do the Sermon on the Mount plus the healings section. It's really up to you guys. Last week, as I recall, we got to the end of the Sermon on the Mount, and the whole thing took us maybe, what do you think, Sandy? 35, 40 minutes? Something like that. You're muted, Sandy.
I thought it
So-
was something like that, 45.
Yeah. So if we do the Sermon on the Mount plus the 3, I think it might be somewhat less than that. So, show of hands? What should we do? Show of hands?
Well, I'm still confused.
Yeah,
We would go back to chapter 5?
we'd start chapter 5 again, and we repeat chapter 5 through 8.
And why do you suggest doing
Why
that?
are you doing that? Why do we need to read it again?
Well, it's because the Sermon on the Mount came last time, and maybe people were tired. And it
Oh, I
is
see.
it is it is a succession of sayings. It's not like a what would you say, a unitary discursive sermon. And I'm just giving you the opportunity. Okay.
Well, I guess it's a significant part of the Bible. I don't know how to
But-
say it. I mean, it's an important speech, right?
Mhm.
I don't really have an opinion.
Okay.
I'd happily go back, go forward.
Okay.
I vote to start on chapter 8.
Okay. Show of hands. Start at chapter
But
5.
for what?
Start at chapter 5.
Here are my
Show of
hands.
hands. 3. Start at chapter 8. Show of hands. 3.
What?
You have to be like the VP and break the tie.
Oh,
You're the time.
no.
You're
'cause
the
you know,
judge.
the
You're the
problem
judge.
is
It was
you
4.
always know how Kamala Harris is gonna vote. Okay, I think since we're split, we're gonna start at chapter 8. Okay. So let me find that there here. And that'll make for a pretty, a kind of, short-ish night. And just remember that, Jesus has finished the Sermon on the Mount at the end of chapter 7, and people are astounded because he teaches as one who has authority. Okay, so here we go. When Jesus had come down from the mountain, great crowds followed him. And there was a leper who came to him and knelt before him, saying, "Lord, if you choose, you can make me clean." He stretched out his hand and touched him, saying, "I do choose. Be made clean." Immediately, his leprosy was cleansed. Then Jesus said to him, "See that you say nothing to anyone, but go show yourself to the priest and offer the gift that Moses commanded as a testimony to them. When he entered Capernaum, a centurion came to him, appealing to him and saying, Lord, my servant is lying at home paralyzed in terrible distress. And he said to him, I will come and cure him. The centurion answered, Lord, I am not worthy to have you come under my roof, but only speak the word, and my servant will be healed. For I also am a man under authority, with soldiers under me. And I say to one, go, and he goes, and to another, come, and he comes. And to my slave, do this, and the slave does it. When Jesus heard him, he was amazed and said to those who followed him, truly, I tell you, in no one in Israel have I found such faith. I tell you, many will come from east and west and will eat with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven, while the heirs of the kingdom will be thrown into the outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And to the centurion, Jesus said, go, let it be done for you according to your faith. And the servant was healed in that hour. When Jesus entered Peter's house, he saw his mother-in-law lying in bed with a fever. He touched her hand, and the fever left her, and she got up and began to serve him. That evening, they brought to him many who were possessed with demons, and he cast out the spirits with a word and cured all who were sick. This was to fulfill what had been spoken through the prophet Isaiah. He took our infirmities and bore our diseases. Now, when Jesus saw great crowds around him, he gave orders to go over to the other side. A scribe then approached him and said, Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go. And Jesus said to him, foxes have holes, and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. Another of his disciples said to him, Lord, first let me go and bury my father. But Jesus said to him, follow me, and let the dead bury their own dead. And when he got into the boat, his disciples followed him. A windstorm arose on the sea, so great that the boat was being swamped by the waves, but he was asleep. And they went and woke him up, saying, Lord, save us, we are perishing. And he said to them, why are you afraid, you of little faith? And he got up and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a dead calm. They were amazed, saying, what sort of man is this, that even the winds and the sea obey him? When he came to the other side, to the country of the Gadarenes, two demoniacs coming out of the tombs met him. They were so fierce that no one could pass that way. Suddenly they shouted, What have you to do with us, Son of God? Have you come here to torment us before the time? Now, a large herd of swine was feeding at some distance from them. The demons begged him, "If you cast us out, send us into the herd of swine." And he said to them, "Go." So they came out and entered the swine. And suddenly the whole herd rushed down the steep bank into the sea and perished in the water. The swineherds ran off, and on going into the town, they told the whole story about what had happened to the demoniacs. Then the whole town came out to meet Jesus, and when they saw him, they begged him to leave their neighborhood. And after getting into a boat, he crossed the sea and came to his own town. And just then, some people were carrying a paralyzed man lying on a bed. When Jesus saw their faith, he said to the paralytic, "Take heart, son, your sins are forgiven." Then some of the scribes said to themselves, "This man is blaspheming." But Jesus, perceiving their thoughts, said, "Why do you think evil in your hearts? For which is easier, to say, 'Your sins are forgiven,' or to say, 'Stand up and walk'? But so that you may know that the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sins," he then said to the paralytic, "Stand up, take your bed, and go to your home." And he stood up and went to his home. When the crowds saw it, they were filled with awe, and they glorified God, who had given such authority to human beings. As Jesus was walking along, he saw a man called Matthew sitting at the tax booth. And he said to him, "Follow me." And he got up and followed him. And as he sat at dinner in the house, many tax collectors and sinners came and were sitting with him and his disciples. When the Pharisees saw this, they said to his disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" But when he heard this, he said, "Those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick. Go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, not sacrifice. For I have come to call not the righteous, but sinners." Then the disciples of John came to him saying, "Why do we and the Pharisees fast often, but your disciples do not fast?" And Jesus said to them, "The wedding guests cannot mourn as long as the bridegroom is with them, can they? The days will come when the bridegroom is taken away from them, and then they will fast. No one sews a piece of unshrunk cloth on an old cloak, for the patch pulls away from the cloak and a worse tear is made. Neither is new wine put into old wineskins. Otherwise, the skins burst and the wine is spilled, and the skins are destroyed. But new wine is put into fresh wineskins, and so both are preserved. While he was saying these things to them, suddenly a leader of the synagogue came in and knelt before him, saying, "My daughter has just died, but come and lay your hand on her, and she will live." And Jesus got up and followed him with his disciples. Then suddenly, a woman who had been suffering from hemorrhages for 12 years came up behind him and touched the fringe of his cloak. For she said to herself, "If I only touch his cloak, I will be made well." Jesus turned, and seeing her, he said, "Take heart, daughter, your faith has made you well." And instantly the woman was made well. When Jesus came to the leader's house and saw the flute players and the crowd making a commotion, he said, "Go away, for the girl is not dead, but sleeping." And they laughed at him. But when the crowd had been put outside, he went in and took her by the hand, and the girl got up. And the report of this spread throughout that district. As Jesus went on from there, 2 blind men followed him, crying loudly, "Have mercy on us, Son of David." When he entered the house, the blind men came to him, and Jesus said to them, "Do you believe that I am able to do this?" They said to him, "Yes, Lord." Then he touched their eyes and said, "According to your faith, let it be done to you." And their eyes were opened. Then Jesus sternly ordered them, "See that no one knows of this." But they went away and spread the news about him throughout that district. After they had gone away, a demoniac who was mute was brought to him. And when the demon had been cast out, the one who had been mute spoke. And the crowds were amazed and said, "Never has anything like this been seen in Israel." But the Pharisees said, "By the ruler of the demons, he casts out the demons." Then Jesus went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the good news of the kingdom and curing every disease and every sickness. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion for them because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore, ask the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest." Then Jesus summoned his 12 disciples and gave them authority over unclean spirits to cast them out and to cure every disease and every sickness. These are the names of the 12 apostles. First, Simon, also known as Peter, and his brother Andrew. James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John. Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew the tax collector, James, son of Alphaeus and Thaddeus, Simon the Canaanian, and Judas Iscariot, who betrayed him. These 12 Jesus sent out with the following instructions: go nowhere among the Gentiles and enter no town of the Samaritans, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. As you go, proclaim the good news. The kingdom of heaven has come near. Cure the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, cast out demons. You received without payment, give without payment. Take no gold or silver or copper in your belts, no bag for your journey, or 2 tunics, or sandals, or a staff. For laborers deserve their food. Whatever town or village you enter, find out who in it is worthy, and stay there until you leave. As you enter the house, greet it. If the house is worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it is not worthy, let your peace return to you. If anyone will not welcome you or listen to your words, shake off the dust from your feet as you leave that house or town. Truly, I tell you, it will be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah on the day of judgment than for that town. See, I am sending you out like sheep into the midst of wolves. So be wise as serpents and innocent as doves. Beware of them, for they will hand you over to councils and flog you in their synagogues. And you will be dragged before governors and kings because of me, as a testimony to them and the Gentiles. When they hand you over, do not worry about how you are to speak or what you are to say. For what you are to say will be given to you at that time. For it is not you who speak, but the Spirit of your Father speaking through you. Brother will betray brother to death, and a father his child. And children will rise against parents and have them put to death. And you will be hated by all because of my name. But the one who endures to the end will be saved. When they persecute you in one town, flee to the next. For truly I tell you, you will not have gone through all the towns of Israel before the Son of Man comes. A disciple is not above the teacher, nor a slave above the master. It is enough for the disciple to be like the teacher, and the slave like the master. If they have called the master of the house Beelzebul, how much more will they malign those of his household? So have no fear of them, for nothing is covered up that will not be uncovered, and nothing secret that will not become known. What I say to you in the dark, tell in the light, and what you hear whispered, proclaim from the housetops. Do not fear those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather, fear him who can destroy both soul and body in hell. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny? Yet not one of them will fall to the ground apart from your Father. And even the hairs of your head are all counted. So do not be afraid. You are of more value than many sparrows. Everyone, therefore, who acknowledges me before others, I also will acknowledge before my Father in heaven. But whoever denies me before others, I also will deny before my Father in heaven. Do not think that I have come to bring peace to the earth. I have not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to set a man against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And one's foes will be members of one's own household. Whoever loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And whoever loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And whoever does not take up the cross and follow me is not worthy of me. Those who find their life will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake will find it. Whoever welcomes you welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. Whoever welcomes a prophet in the name of a prophet will receive a prophet's reward. And whoever welcomes a righteous person in the name of a righteous person will receive the reward of the righteous. And whoever gives even a cup of cold water to one of these little ones in the name of a disciple, truly I tell you, none of these will lose their reward. He's a tough guy in Matthew. He's much tougher. Huh. It's, Matthew he's like the tough Jesus, Matthew. Huh?
Well, he is and he isn't,
Yeah.
I mean. I was gonna go back, there was something I wanted to ask you. I'm sorry, I have a cat.
Yeah, I saw the guy. I said, right out of the corner of my eye, I says, what is that? Like an elephant? All of a sudden I thought it was like an elephant trunk
They're
or
making fun
something.
of you because you're so fat.
Yeah.
He's 18 pounds worth of cat, yes.
Oh my gosh.
There was something I wanted to.
Yeah. Well, you're looking at that. I can tell you one thing that I have never actually been able to figure out is this one about the old and patching putting
Oh, yeah,
new wine into
wineskin.
old wineskin. I never follow the simile or metaphor that Jesus is making. I'm not quite getting it.
So
'Cause-
you don't think it's referring to the law as opposed to Jesus's teaching?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know, but I guess that's what
the question is, because the Pharisees ask him, I'm just looking at it now. Because the context is the disciples of John
Mhm.
come and ask him, well, why are the Pharisees fast? And we do too, but your disciples don't.
So-
And then he says, the wedding guests cannot mourn as long as the bridegroom is there.
Mm.
And then he says, no one sews a piece of unshrunk cloth on an old cloak, for the patch pulls away from the cloak and a worse tear is made.
So-
I never quite get that. And he says, neither is new wine put into old wineskins, but new wine is put into fresh wineskins.
Well, the thing about the patch, I understand, because if you've ever done any sewing
Yeah,
and you have an old garment that has a hole, it doesn't help to put, it happens as they say, it will tear away.
yeah,
I don't know about wineskins,
yeah. It's
but don't you think it means that the followers of Jesus are not under the law?
yeah, it's like, well, maybe it's that, like, they have a new cloak. They're not going to put something new on something old. Okay, they're going to put something new on something new. It's like, let's have a little bit of revolution or something.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Well, they're not the same people they were, right?
mhm,
I mean, they're different now.
yeah,
They're kind of cloaked in something different.
yeah,
I know what I was, when they talked about that.
yeah. So don't use old stuff. Don't mix old and new. I guess that's,
I think.
maybe that's what it is. Yeah.
Well,
The other, well, go ahead, Barbara, what,
no, I was just gonna say what I was thinking about kind of touches on this a little bit. Can you think about what it meant for those disciples going out from village to village? What did they say?
yeah,
How did they frame it? I mean, that's really part of the question.
Yeah,
If they're trying to communicate something new that most dramatically is communicated by the person of Jesus, right?
Well, I think they
That is
probably,
to say, a presence that transforms people from illness to health in all kinds of, or death to life, and fast. I mean, we kept hearing that word again tonight, immediately, and he walks in and it's 1 minute this one. That's one way to understand something. But if you have only words, and what do you say?
well, and they're talking to people who have a different way of incorporating or celebrating their ideas or their I guess beliefs, or I don't want to use the word religion, or maybe their traditions or the things that influence their lives, and they're coming with really a very different message, right?
Yeah, new
So they
wine.
gotta find
They're bringing
words,
new wine to people who only have old
right?
wine.
So you
Yeah.
can't use, if what you're talking about is love, maybe you can't use the word love in their understanding. You have to use something else. I don't know what, but I mean, they have to kind of find a way of translating what they're saying into words that will be accepted and mean the same thing, right? And it's quite a challenge, but if they
It
just go
is.
there If they go there and speak just like it's written in the Bible, I think people kind of wander away and go, I don't know what they're talking about.
And the phrase "the Son of Man" has a history. And so who do they say? I mean, we haven't gotten, I guess, to the place where Peter is called on to say, "Who am I?"
Yeah.
So if they go out and say, "He's here, the Son of Man," what does that mean to people?
What, do you suppose
But
that people have heard about Jesus? I mean, the people in the towns they're sent to have already heard about this new
Healer.
presence. I
Yeah.
mean, and do we have stories of what happened to the disciples when they were sent out like that? I mean, I don't recall them.
uh,
Well, most of them were killed.
Yeah. Sooner or later.
They were not well received. It wasn't
Well, I
really
mean,
until,
But aren't we talking right now about before the crucifixion?
yeah,
Send them.
They don't
while
have
he
the
was
whole,
still
they don't have
ministering.
the whole story yet.
Yeah,
either.
yeah.
you're right, they don't have the whole story yet.
Well, in the boat thing where he turns off the wind, they say, what sort of man is this?
Mhm.
'Cause, I mean, in line of they don't have the whole story yet. Because they say, oh, what sort of man is this? Who they're not saying, oh, this is Jesus, Son of God, like in the Apostles' Creed or something. They're like as confused about him as a lot of other people.
yeah.
But
Which brings me back to the question of how do they do
what
it?
are they gonna
That's a big
say?
issue.
It's like, what are we gonna say if we want to bring other people into St. Albans?
Not a bad question.
Yeah, that's
We're gonna
another big.
sing.
I think maybe.
Everybody likes to sing.
And I think
That's right.
singing is key. The more I think about it,
I've
It's
always thought
true.
singing was key,
yeah, I've always thought that's how I got trapped into St. Albans.
Well, that's how we started at St. Mark's. They used to
Yeah.
have Wednesday evening hymn sings.
That's
Yeah.
right. Kind of became its own monster, but it did.
Well, yeah,
was,
but Christine has a big idea for next Christmas. She's going to have a Christmas carol sing along
oh,
the
wonderful.
neighborhood in the parish up in the.
Oh, I
parish
think
hall.
that's cool.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a great idea.
And
Yeah,
maybe
we could
with the,
return to that. We used to do caroling.
the guy
Well-
who played the piano at Janet's service
Oh, yeah.
might be the pianist, and
Mhm.
he's also a singer, and he could lead the singing as well.
Oh, nice.
She's going
We
to
just have to hope that by next Christmas there isn't something else awful that we
Well,
don't
exactly. Yeah.
Right.
get in the room
Because
together.
she has this
Yeah.
fantasy they will be without masks by then.
We've been having that fantasy for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next year will be better.
We need a new technology. We need a mask through which you can sing. I want someone
Yeah.
to invent that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it has a cage or something.
Yeah.
It looks more like a muzzle.
Another phrase that I never have understood is "let the dead bury their dead." I don't understand. What does that
No.
mean?
I think that's very, very, very metaphorical, if they're not, if
I do too.
they're not with me, then who cares?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. If you're not with me, you're kind of dead anyway.
so who cares?
So,
You're on your
I
own.
see.
You're on your own.
yeah, it's almost sarcasm.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a very cruel statement. That's
Kind
very-
of,
Yeah.
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 It's very cold.
We
You
were
expect him
talking
to
about-
say, I'll go out and I will bring them back or something.
Yeah.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, and of course, there's I've come to set a man against his father, and
Yeah, that's
always a tricky one. I've come to not to bring peace, but a sword.
About what the disciples should say, I'm looking, I forget which chapter, I'm looking at it. It says, as you go, proclaim the good news, the kingdom of heaven has come near, and then you cure the sick, and etc. And that's got to be a big come on. Okay. And I wonder if the guys, well, they were all men. Well, maybe they weren't, because he said that no, it was the 12 he sent out.
It's
They were
just the
all
12
men.
and he empowers
Yeah.
them to do this somehow.
Yeah, and I wonder if they start saying things like in the Sermon on the Mount,
Mhm.
you know, when they start saying, love your enemies, and everybody goes, what? You know what? And you know, they start saying these things that seem really unusual, really different.
Well,
Yeah,
that, I think and therein lies the problem of trying to understand how they went out
yeah,
and spread a message which might have been in very strong conflict with local traditions, local
Yeah.
beliefs, ideas about family. It's interesting. I just completed a Rhodes Scholar course in Turkey,
Mm.
and it
Yeah.
was an archaeology course. And so
oh, yeah,
we went to Ephesus and Cappadocia and other places. And in every place, the archaeologist said, he would say there was some disciple that had come there, and he would talk about, I guess, you know, saying that they would come, but you know, a lot of times what they said, they had evidence that, you know, wasn't very well received. He talked about Paul standing kind of all by himself, and he was in a square, and he said, we imagine Paul standing there all by himself, you know, talking and no one listening until someone came over and asked him about tent making.
yeah,
You know, because
yeah,
people just walk, you know, he got, you know, we know he didn't get any respect here. So,
yeah,
but you know, it's kind of funny to look at these sites and, you know, imagine a square and a setting. Paul standing there basically talking to himself.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Paul almost got killed in
Yeah.
on the first missionary journey.
Yeah.
Remember, like in one of those towns in Turkey, Derby or Iconium. Yeah,
I don't remember what,
yeah,
yeah. But yeah, it was interesting to. And he talked about how one of the things he said that I didn't quite understand. He said it wasn't just a matter of, you know, Anatolia was not just all the same. You know, you could go from one village to the next village, and things could be very different.
yeah,
It wasn't like
It's also
village-
interesting, he said, don't go to any of the towns of Samaria or any Gentiles.
Yeah.
He's not
Yeah.
exposing them to that
Yeah,
yeah,
extreme.
Yeah.
That Paul,
yeah.
right. Mhm.
That's left up to Paul to do.
Yeah.
Remember the story of the woman who was not a Hebrew woman who comes to Jesus and
Mhm.
says, heal my daughter. And
Right.
at first he says, you know, we don't give food to dogs or something
Right.
like that.
Something really,
Yeah,
Yeah,
something really
really.
kind
Yeah,
of
it was
brutal.
brutal.
Yeah,
yeah, it was
and
brutal.
yeah, so I don't know. Maybe he was focused on. I
Well,
don't
and,
know.
you know, he may have encouraged attitudes, you know, if they believed in that some illness was maybe possession, or I don't know what, but you know, something, and a guy comes and says, you have to, you know, love your children or your family, or don't do harm to people, and they're going, oh no, not this person, you know, this will infect all of it. I mean, you know, it's really kind of hard to imagine what they were up against. Because those
Yeah,
are the kinds of things we don't necessarily know. very
yeah,
well.
yeah,
and they didn't have the internet, but they could look everything up.
Yeah, that's right. And you know, I didn't realize that until Turkey, or that area, you know, Turkey principally, changed its alphabet from being based in Arabic script to, you know, to a more Latin form, that even as late as 1930s, 40s, only about 20% of the population could read.
yeah,
I mean, it was really, it was a very, and so, you know, for millennia, it's been a culture, those, you know, people in that whole area were
yeah,
basically illiterate.
Illiterate in our word, but the oral tradition didn't mean, I mean,
He
They
will
were
also
taught-
say
taught
pre
by
to
people
distinguish.
speaking.
Yeah, they had oral traditions.
Yeah.
These Turks didn't sound too like they thought that was too promising or reliable, maybe that's.
I'm sorry, Lori, I didn't quite get what you meant.
Oh, I said these, the guy who was talking about this, the archaeologist was talking about that.
Oh, yeah.
Now, because someone in the group brought that up, well, oral traditions would be strong and they don't necessarily have to be inaccurate. He basically
Yeah.
said, well, yeah, actually they can. We don't know how much to.
We don't know. Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. May I talk about next week a little bit? Yeah, I have a rehearsal next Wednesday that
Oh,
got
for the-
scheduled,
Oh, for the bases?
because I'm doing the resonance.
Oh, that's right.
I'm doing Derek Tam's thing, the Stabat Mater, and and can you guys meet? I haven't looked at my calendar, but I'm thinking, could we change to Tuesday next week? Otherwise, we're into the Christmas holidays and we'd have to skip
Right. I can meet on the 20th.
20th.
Tuesday is the 20th.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
think it's,
can.
That's okay for me.
and okay for me.
And Barbara, did you say yes?
Yes,
And Margaret and
Yes.
Peter? Oh, so we can switch to the 20th.
But for this group,
Super.
and maybe we'll bring some people who can't come on Wednesdays might come. I mean, we'll have to
You
make it very
know,
clear in the email.
yeah, we'll make sure that, because the email's been very wobbly.
Yeah.
For about a month, and and I'm like, what is going on here?
Well, it's partly my fault because I'm supposed to proofread, but I don't know.
Oh,
Catch it.
aha. Okay. Anyway, okay, let me check my calendar. We'll try to work it out.
So
Okay.
it would also be 7.
Yeah, it's always 7. I do
Okay.
that for dear Barbara's sake. My dear Barbara's sake.
Yes,
So
we do appreciate her letting you
Yeah.
do this.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so I'll get back to you guys and I'll like write, I love to write emails and stuff. And
Larry.
you'll see what it is.
And hopefully
Okay.
Pam should be back to her usual form next
Oh,
week.
yeah,
And she'll be back.
she'll be back in town tomorrow.
What did Sandy say? She'll be back, but she'll be in the office Monday. So she
Okay.
can send next week's email and
Okay.
she'll send the Friday blast also, but
Okay,
she can do that from anywhere, she's.
okay,
She's
all
been-
right.
She's been doing everything all week long, so.
Okay.
Physically
Well,
being in the office.
yeah, she has been, because she wrote to me about the last thing.
Yeah.
Tonight's meeting, she said, I got it. Okay, so anyway.
Yeah.
Great. This is, I tell you, math, reading, I'm
These
gonna
are all
say goodnight.
stories that we know.
I-
I didn't realize.
We
they
know
were-
them, and then when we put them together, it's like,
Yeah, it's
what
amazing.
exactly is happening? You know what? And I just flashed on, the Apostles' Creed. Just think about it. And like that comes out. I wonder if that came out because people were trying to figure out what was happening, and what they latched onto was the resurrection.
Mhm.
You know what? And then they say, this we get. You know what? Anyway, hey, thank you guys.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you. Okay.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
See you
Great.
one of those days. Okay, great. Be good.
Bye-bye.
Happy Christmas shopping, etc.
So Barbara, will you be awake tomorrow morning for 8 o'clock prayer?
I don't know. I am definitely a little the worse for wear, but you look great. You seem to be in good spirits, Becky. I'm happy to see you.
I'm okay. Yeah, I try not to dwell on what's going on, but
Well, you're mostly worried about Erin.
she's, the last time we've been talking about, there's a lot of new medications out. And so there was one that I read about and signed a petition about getting it in a trial and all this. And And then I talked to Erin and I said, do you know about this? And I said, I signed this petition and because I thought she might want to. And she said, well, she said, I've read about this. She said, but the results don't look very good.
Mhm.
She takes about 4 different things, but there's nothing. Mostly they just slow down the progress of the disease. They don't fix
So
it.
sad.
So
And the main manifestation now is her speech.
I believe so, because she never talks on the phone to me. We just text and email. And I haven't seen her physically. Partly because I think it's hard for her. And I don't want to,
Well, the
Wait.
last thing she needs is any stress.
yeah, extra people and all this, I just I just try to be there whenever, and I can pick up the kids. They have all week off next week, so I'm hoping they'll come and spend some time with me
And
for their
what
sakes as well.
is Matthew coming out for Christmas?
He's coming, yes, he's coming. He won't be here till Christmas Day, but he's coming, yeah. And they will come Christmas Day to my house and will be with me until their birthdays in January. So,
And your sense is that they're doing okay. Whatever that means.
whatever that means. Yes, I think so. And we managed to get it's really interesting. Do you remember Classroom Matters that ran the after school program
Sure.
at them?
Yeah.
Well, now, we during COVID, they just folded their tents and went away. And but they're still in existence and they provide online schooling and tutors. So we got a wonderful tutor for Sabrina for her pre-calculus class, which she's failing.
Fantastic.
And
Fantastic.
I talked to her today about it and I said, how is it going? And he said, it's going well. And I said, you like the tutor? He said, yes, he's very easy to talk to. So that's really good.
That is true. I know you were worried about that. It's like the one class that just,
She can't, because she can't deal with the noisy classroom. So she wears her noise canceling earphones, and then she can't, of course, hear the teacher. So she's trying to teach herself calculus by doing it.
oh,
So it's just, the whole thing is ridiculous, The school was supposed to have a designated note taker for her, but that hasn't happened. And so anyway, I think with this, she's seeing the tutor twice a week for an hour. And then her mother can also help. She's pretty good with math. Matthew and I are hopeless. So we tried to help her while she was at Matthew's house and wasn't very successful.
no, 8th grade was where I stopped. After that,
I had calculus in college, but I didn't understand it from start to, I passed it, but I didn't understand what I was doing. And someone told me that math only begins to make sense when you take the next class. Then this class you took before makes sense.
well, the important thing is to get them through this.
She just needs to pass it, and I think she'll be able to. Yeah, and
Well,
anyway, I'm just glad she has someone else she can
and
talk to. That she's
Not bad to have something that concrete to focus on, I imagine. I think that's probably therapeutic in itself. If it's a positive experience, something that,
yes, absolutely. And there's a therapist that she sees or I think just talks to on Zoom that she likes very much. That's when she was talking about gender transition. This young woman helped her quite a bit. I don't think she's transitioning, but that's for the future. Right now she's just staying as she is with no intervention of any kind. Just a name change at this point,
yeah.
which I'm not sure what that's about, but whatever she wants to do is okay.
It's a new world.
It is very much so.
I think it's an old issue. I think this has been around a lot, but people are able to be
To-
public in ways. they
Right,
weren't.
and to have words to describe what they're
Yeah,
thinking. and feeling. Can you see Timmy?
Oh, what a beautiful
Isn't he
cat.
handsome? And he
Oh,
knows it too.
And he really likes the Bible. Yes, I can tell
Yes,
that.
I have to, he pulls up the pages with his paw.
Isn't that a riot? Oh,
He's hoping that I'll give him something to eat, but I'm not going to.
have you had this cat for a while or?
After Jasmine died, I didn't have a cat for a long time. Jasmine was Virginia Schroeder's cat that I adopted when Virginia died. And so, but this is the twins' cat. from Kansas. He came from Kansas City with them. And they're renting, so the landlord wouldn't let them have him. So he went to live with Aaron's mother, who's allergic to him. So at some point she said, especially when COVID started and her allergies were really acting up, she said, I don't think I can do this anymore. Would you take him? And I was thrilled to have him because
He really is quite a cat.
he's wonderful company and very annoying. It's good to have an annoyance that I can focus on.
Exactly.
Just wants to eat all the time. It's terrible.
Well, I'm going to have to look at the video for the Sunday service. I'm just so pleased that everything's going so well.
I think I'm hoping Janet's service, we also live streamed with John's camera, but people said they couldn't hear anyone. So we were very careful at the Sunday service that the mics were all working. So I'll be interested to know if you could understand everyone. We had everybody read either from the lectern or the pulpit with the mic right in front of their mouths.
Good.
So,
Good.
and the pianist, Diana, I think was pretty good. Her pace was too slow for some people, that kind of. Christine liked it, but nobody else did.
Nobody else did. It was my father who had a brief career as a church organist.
Oh dear.
There was nothing that upset him more than people who dragged hymns. He really did not have much time for that.
No, and I think, and I didn't mind. I'm hoping. Well, Brett Wheeler's going to play on Sunday, and I think he used to play for us he used to sub for Richard,
Uh-huh.
and so he knows the organ, he knows us, and so I'm hoping he'll pick up the pace a little bit, and then we'll have Richard for Christmas. And
For Christmas.
of course, he doesn't always play as fast as people think he should. So.
Yeah, but he's dependable.
He's very dependable. Yeah. So
And
anyway,
I think dependable is good.
I do too.
But I sure don't see much happening in the future. I mean, we just don't have a budget.
No, we're not going. John would like to be hired, but we cannot hire him. We have no money for that.
Somebody made some reference to that, and I thought there was a document for the vestry, but there doesn't seem to be. There was something that he had put forth a proposal of.
Yes, he did, and the vestry said, "Sorry, we can't do it."
I don't know why I didn't see the document. I should ask
Oh.
him.
You're on the vestry still.
I am. I
They
can't,
met last Sunday.
I know. And
Oh,
I went through all the stuff. We had no internet on the ship to speak of.
It's that was all done in executive session, so it would not have been.
Yeah, but there's still, I think there should have been something in the vestry materials.
Oh, I
I
see.
should have seen his proposal, but it's not gonna happen. He had proposed halftime.
And even halftime we can't afford because it's still medical and pension, everything.
Can't possibly do it.
Yeah, and he's, in my opinion, not the right fit for us. I mean, I like him, but he's just. He's
I,
just-
I understand that completely.
And we had a very unpleasant episode. He was very upset with Pam questioning his use of Zoom for his own purposes, which, and it wasn't even that. She just said, you started using Zoom for your study session and all this stuff, and you didn't ask. You just assumed you could do that. And he lost his temper and was so rude to her.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, this is, just,
Of course.
they're trying to keep it. I mean,
Yeah.
several people witnessed it, so it's not like it's a secret, but it was very rude. Hi, Tom. It was rude and it really hurt Pam's feelings, and he said things he shouldn't have said. I just really implied that she was a paid servant and he was the designated deacon, and she wasn't to tell him what to do.
Oh,
We were like, wait a minute.
oh.
If we had to choose between Pam and you would be out of here because we
yeah.
can't function without Pam.
Well, it's very important that has happened early on, relatively early.
I mean,
You-
she would, if we could afford to have him as deacon, she would leave afterwards.
Yes,
He said,
of course, of course.
and I don't think of Pam as a paid employee. I mean, she is, of course, but she loves St. Albans just like we do. I mean,
She has taken on such an important role. We've never had an administrator like her.
she has, she feels it's her calling to help
Yeah.
us. And that's so remarkable.
She is absolutely invaluable to the vestry because she is, Catherine Ann, God bless her, is so committed and works so hard.
Right.
But Pam knows issues and knows kind of the larger picture very often. She is very smart.
She's very smart. She's had 3 or 4 years at EFM, so she's as
Yeah.
first, probably knows more than John knows because he somehow is
Yeah.
able to pass his seminary classes. Anyway, we're trying to keep it just, we can't afford you, John. We're not going to get into the fact that we don't like you personally. I mean, I don't want that.
He
We
was,
can't let it,
I thought he was on the job market.
he is, but he hasn't gotten any job offers. And it could be because, I mean, I wouldn't hire him.
Yeah.
He has a sense of self-importance that is very off-putting.
It's very interesting. In some ways, there's such a delicate balance about valuing people who, in a sense, are confident about what they're doing. And sometimes it's kind of a relief. That person will step in, will get it done, will be a presence. On the other hand, it really is a delicate balance.
Can't run roughshod over people to get something done that you think needs to be done. The whole thing of hiring that organist that was so terrible. He did that without consulting anyone. Hired this person to play the organ for us. Just picked her name out of a list of organists that were available. And she was terrible. She was a terrible musician and very hard to work with. And he didn't ask Pam, he didn't ask Catherine Ann, he just announced it at a staff meeting that he had done this. That was the beginning of my feelings that there's something
Downhill,
not
yeah.
quite right here.
On what terms do we have him now? I should know. I mean, it's appalling that I'm asking you that.
Well, it's not clear to me. The diocese, when Peggy felt she couldn't continue, we hired him to do pastoral care. I don't know on whose recommendation. I guess the diocese recommended him because he'd left his job at St. John's and he needed a job, but he was getting unemployment.
$1,000 a month or something like.
Mhm. And I think he did a pretty good job at pastoral care, nothing like what Peggy did. I mean, he didn't bother to introduce himself to everyone the way she did, but he did.
Peggy is incredible.
She's another one that we're so blessed to have.
I mean, the kind of human kindness that flows from her is so genuine. And her ability, I mean, her ability to write a note.
I know, I love that because I don't have it.
No, she just has the right words. It's a real gift.
See that when you say that about genuine, that's the thing I don't see in John. I don't see a genuine faith. I see a need to aggrandize himself, which is, I'm not being very fair, but I'm sure he has good qualities that I'm overlooking.
The recording is still on. So the question is, how do we eliminate this conversation?
Pam knows how, and I will tell her to do it.
Okay,
She understands, and she won't mind that we've talked about her, because this is sorry.
I'm really sorry. Somehow something got my eye.
That's terrible. I should know better.
Yeah.
Well, I will stop it right now. I might be able to do it myself, actually.
It would